G'day everyone and welcome back to Cam Carter Adventures. Well, I'm standing outside the heart and soul of Brisbane sport, and that is the mighty cauldron, Lang Park or Suncorp Stadium. And I'm here as part of a local YouTube project known as Twisted Visions Autumn Edition. So without further ado, let's roll the intro tape.
Hey everybody, due to the overwhelming response to our Twisted Visions Summer Challenge of 2024, we're at it again, introducing the all-new Brisbane Twisted Visions Autumn 2024 Creators Challenge. Each YouTuber can submit up to 3 topics. All the topics go into a hat. We draw one topic from the hat. We all get to make a 10-minute video on that topic, and we have 10 days to do it. The final videos will be published on the 20th of April at 5:30 p.m. The last time it was a blast. We all had our own interpretations. So this time, some of the participating YouTubers will be Cam from Cam Carter's Adventures, Adam from the Brisbane channel, Rebecca from Love Life and Travel, Rob from Walkabout with Rob, Steve from Steve Mac, Gizmo from Gizmo Bush Escapes, and myself, T-Rox. Let the challenge begin.
So most people in Brisbane at some point in their life are going to come here to cheer on their local team, whether it be the Queensland Maroons, named because they wear maroon, the Queensland Reds, named because they wear maroon, or the mighty Brisbane Roar, my favourite team, who wear orange. There's a really interesting history to how the Brisbane Roar got their name. They were formed back in 1957 by some Dutch immigrants, and they were known as Hollandia, and their logo was a lion. In the 1970s they changed their name to Lions FC, and when the national competition came in they wanted to call themselves the Brisbane Lions. Unfortunately, the Brisbane Lions had been taken by the AFL team over at the Gabba after they merged the Brisbane Bears and the Fitzroy Lions, and they share their stadium with the Brisbane Heat, named because, well, Brisbane's hot. The local Brisbane rep rugby league side is called the Brisbane Water Dragons. There's also the baseball team, the Brisbane Bandits, and the basketball team, the Brisbane Bullets. I have no idea why either of those teams were named. They're American. But there's one thing that's always perplexed me about Brisbane sport, and that is, why is the Brisbane NRL team called the Broncos? Because I ain't ever seen a Brisbane Bronco. I've made my way up to Fulcher Road in Red Hill, and this is the home of the Brisbane Broncos. And I'm hoping, if I'm lucky, I may be able to catch a small glimpse of a Brisbane Bronco. Now, I know that this is a Bronco, this is a Bronco, and for all you aviation nerds out there, this is a Bronco. But I ain't ever seen a Brisbane Bronco. Well, I've seen Brisbane blue tongues, I've seen the Brisbane brown snake, I've seen floating Brisbane river mullets in the Brisbane brown snake, I've seen Brisbane bin chickens, Brisbane bush turkeys, I even once saw a Brisbane budgie smuggler. I ain't ever seen a Brisbane Bronco. So how the team actually got their name is a really boring story. You see, one of the original founders back in 1988 just happened to be a fan of the Denver Broncos, and he thought that'd be a really cool name. So I guess that's the one thing I'd like to change about Brisbane. I'd like to change the name of the Brisbane Broncos. Well, all right then, what would you change the name to? Well, most sporting teams have a mascot that's relevant to the area that they're in, like the Redcliffe Dolphins, or the Hobart Tassie Devils, or the Kangaroo Island Koalas, or the Bribie Island Pensioners. So I've come up here to the upper reaches of the Brisbane River, to the Twin Bridges at Fernvale, and I'm going to find an animal that is unique, very unique to this part of the world. And I think it should be the new name of the Brisbane NRL team. So what I'm searching for is the Queensland lungfish, or the Neoceratodus forsteri. You see, there's only 3 different types of lungfish remaining in the world. There's an African one, a South American one, and then there's the Queensland lungfish. And what's most notable about the Queensland lungfish is that it's the only one that can breathe both through its gills and through its lungs. Now it has a dorsal lung on its back, which it can fill full of air. So when water's stagnant and it's not oxygenated, it can actually use that reserve to survive. It's a really fascinating endangered species. It's been around for over 100 million years, and there's actual fossil evidence on the Brisbane River that this fish existed over 4,000 years ago. What's really cool about the lungfish is it can actually survive out of water. What it does is it secretes a mucus to stop it from drying out, and it can bury itself in the wet mud and lay dormant there. So the lungfish is actually a carnivorous bottom feeder, and it lives off mainly river worms, smaller fish, frogs, lizards, small children. And one of the reasons that it's so rare is that it doesn't reach its sexual maturity until about 17 years old. And they have a lifespan similar to humans. There are lungfish known to have lived for over 80 years. Now I know I've got Buckley's chance of finding one, really, because they do sit on the bottom and the water here is running quite swiftly. What I'm looking for though is maybe around in these reeds that I might be able to find one of these lungfish. To give you an idea, they're not a small fish. I mean, these things can grow up to 3 or 4 feet long. Apparently the best time to spot the lungfish is actually at night. You won't be able to see them, but you'll hear them. They'll come up to the surface and they'll gulp air. Look at the amount of wild tobacco that's growing here. Now, I'm not a huge expert on wild tobacco, but it's a introduced weed from South America, and apparently if you try and smoke it, you'll die. I've done a fair bit of walking in New Zealand, and this is very similar. It's kind of weird that we're actually at the tail of the mighty brown snake, the Brisbane River. Probably a little bit shallow here for the lungfish. So I'm really hoping that I can find a lungfish, although I suspect it's going to be the worst video ever. Plenty of ducks around, plenty of other birds. It's a beautiful little spot. Definitely recommend coming up this way if you get a chance. So oddly enough, I think there's actually too much water in the river. It's flowing a little bit too fast, and it's quite turbulent and bringing up a lot of sediment. So obviously the lungfish being a bottom feeder, they're going to be down the bottom where I can't see. Well, I guess there's only one thing left for it. I'm going to have to chuck up the drone. Well, I didn't find any lungfish today, but I still believe the one thing that I'd like to change about Brisbane is I'd like to rename the Brisbane Broncos the Brisbane Lungfish. Let's go, lungfish, let's go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also, please check out some of the local Brissie YouTube content creators that are participating in the Twisted Visions Autumn project. As usual, stay safe, have a great day. People that litter really give me the shit.